Welcome to Recently Logged, where this week Robbie asks the question, where is this film set? For context, we're sitting there watching this movie where they explicitly are in Italy, where they say Italy so many times it's not even funny. And they're Pinocchio, Italian. Like 5 minutes before Robbie says this, Ron Perlman's like, yes, good Italian wood, Italian pine. And Robbie's like, where is this movie set? Well, look at this map. What coastline is that?
I saw the map and I was like, oh, I don't recognize the coastline. Wonder where this is set. And then I was like, I'm an idiot because it's obviously set in Italy, because as they say multiple times.
Good Italian pine.
It was a passing thought, Micah. It was like, where is this set? Italy. It was like that in my mind. And then I was like, oh, that was kind of funny. Because
where's Mussolini from?
Oh gosh. But hello, guys.
Hi.
My name is Robbie.
And I'm Micah.
And together we're going to talk about good Italian pie.
I thought that was a pretty good Ron Perlman in this movie impression.
It was. You just basically drop your voice a couple octaves. That's all you have to do.
Yeah, but he's got like a booming voice. It's true. He's very boomy with it.
It's true.
Love Ron Perlman.
But yeah, this time we're talking about
Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
Pinocchio, yeah. Gotta love it. Let's tell the people what they need to know about this film.
What? They don't need to know anything, Robbie. It's the motion picture. What do they need to know?
It's a need to know basis.
Alright, so yeah, we're talking about Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio, which is a 2022 picture.
It is.
Rated PG.
Surprisingly.
Hour and 57 minutes. I mean, there's nothing not PG in this.
I mean, it's true, but it's a very, I don't know, it strikes me as a more mature movie than most other Pinocchio films.
Because Robbie, as Del Toro said, he wasn't going to make a kids movie. He was going to make an animated feature.
Gotta love it.
But it's a little IMDb description is: a father's wish magically brings a wooden boy to life in Italy, giving him a chance to care for the child. That's not the good description. Where's the one that's like Pinocchio is in fascist Italy?
Yeah, set during the rise of
Mussolini. Here we go. The Letterboxd description: during the rise of fascism in Mussolini's Italy, a wooden boy brought him magically to life struggles to live up to his father's expectations.
Yeah, that's more like it.
The cast features Ewan McGregor, David Bradley,
absolutely,
Gregory Mann, Vern Gorman, Ron Perlman, John Turturro, Finn Wolfhard, Cate Blanchett, Tim Blake Nelson, Christopher Waltz, Tilda Swinton, Tom Kenny, Alfie Tempest.
Oh my gosh.
The list goes on. There's a lot of people. There's a lot of names in this.
Who would have thought that it took so many people to make a movie?
Well, that's just to voice a movie. That's not even to make a movie. Directed by Guillermo del Toro and Mark Gustafsson, I think.
I don't know. I haven't looked at his name.
Written by Guillermo del Toro and Patrick McHale.
Ayo.
Shout out to Patrick McHale. Scored by Alexandre Desplat. Desplat.
Desplat.
I have no idea.
Yeah, it's
Desplat. Alexandre Desplat.
There's like a small T.
Small T.
You don't emphasize the T.
Edited by Ken Stritzman, editor of Toy Story 3, by the way. Don't know if you know that.
I did not know that.
There's one category I wanted to check. Yeah, I thought I recognized that. Cinematography by Frank Passingham. he did the cinematography on Kubo.
Very nice.
And also Chicken Run and Flushed Away, but Kubo and the Two Strings.
Wow. That's pretty cool. It's a good work on Kubo, I will say. Good work on this too.
Yeah. Takes a lot of people to make a film, and this one sure did have a lot of people.
Indeed.
But yeah, that's all you need to know.
That's all you need to know.
That's it. Well, you've learned all you can ever know about.
That's it. We don't watch the behind the scenes documentary.
Don't watch it. We didn't.
We didn't watch it.
We probably should have, but we didn't.
There's no extra information that you could possibly gain that has not already been acquired.
You can't even watch the movie because that would be learning too much extra information.
But let's talk about the movie.
Let's do that. So, Robbie, if you could put it in a singular word, what are your summarized thoughts, and maybe even a rating, of Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio?
Good. If I can put it in a word.
If you could put it in a word. Okay, if you could put it in a couple more words.
I think it's a very good movie.
Very good.
That's a couple more words. I don't know. We've talked a bit on the podcast before with how much we like the work of Guillermo del Toro. He's a very singular.
One of my all-time favorite directors.
I mean, he is an actor too.
Yeah, is he?
Yeah, he's been in stuff.
Was it Quantum of Solace?
Yeah.
Where?
Yeah, he's an actor.
I don't remember him in Quantum of Solace.
Okay, but he's a very singular filmmaker who always seems to leave his very welcome footprint on all of his projects that he touches, because he's quite a prolific producer too.
Yeah.
And this is no exception. I really like his style. I think it works really well with the direction they take this Pinocchio adaptation in, which is quite unusual in the realm of pre-existing film adaptations of Pinocchio.
All hail the year of Pinocchio.
Yeah, right. I mean, most people are more familiar with the Disney movie Pinocchio than with I think it's Adventures of Pinocchio or whatever the original title of the book is. Yeah. So I think this is a welcome change to, or I guess not change, like a new take on the Pinocchio story.
Disney did a darn good job, if I can speak today, a darn good job of taking a bunch of classic fairy tales and then making them to where people just automatically associate those stories with Disney.
Exactly. They watered down Alice in Wonderland. I'll never forgive them.
I mean, they only barely watered it down, man. The movie's already a little whack.
The movie's wild. But yeah, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
What'd you rate it, Remy?
I rated it a 5 out of 5.
Whoa.
Very, very good movie. One of my favorites.
Very good.
One of my favorites from del Toro, I will say.
There you go.
I'd take this over a Crimson Peak,
Whoa.
Which is saying something. I like Crimson Peak.
Whoa. I don't know about all that, Remy. You're getting a little spicy.
Well, Micah, what did you think of Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio?
I think of Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. I really liked Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio. I thought it was
the full title,
because that's the name of the movie. Right?
I know, it's just so strange.
I think Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio is a fantastic movie. I think it really lends itself to stop motion, though I understand some of the complaints I've seen that it's not quite as grimy as it could have been. It feels a little bit too controlled sometimes. But I really love the way he goes about telling the story. I think it's really like a marvel that he pulls it off how he does. I almost wish it was a little longer, which it's already 2 hours,
right?
And it barely has time to explore all of the different ways it takes the story and the different themes that it touches on.
Right.
But I think it does it in such a nice and again kind of mature-esque way for this style movie. And I don't know, it's really beautiful. I like the music. I like the animation. I like the story. I like Cate Blanchett.
Who doesn't, Micah?
Cate Blanchett is amazing and perfect. And hello, Cate Blanchett.
Hello,
if you're listening to this.
Big fan of your work in Nightmare Alley, I have to say.
Big fan of your work in general.
Wow.
Yeah. No, I think this is a really masterful take on a story that I've never been that big of a fan of.
Right.
I think I always thought the Disney version, which honestly is the only version I was familiar with because I never read the book, was just kind of odd. And like the way it goes about telling its story and its morals are just weird.
No, I never liked the movie as a kid.
Because like everything that happens sure plays into the Disney morals that they're going for, but it also is just like really weird and simple, whereas this actually uses all of those different elements to actually say something and also adds in Tom Kenny's Mussolini. So yeah, it's a good movie. I give it a 4.5 out of 5.
Very nice, very nice. Yeah, no, I mean, it's I'm still kind of in awe of how much respect Guillermo del Toro has, and Patrick McHale. Not Patrick. Wait, yeah, is that?
Yeah, Patrick McHale.
I always think I'm saying it wrong because I think of Joel McHale. I'm like, that's the wrong guy. But Guillermo del Toro and Patrick McHale, they have a real respect for their audience, and it's a really great screenplay.
Dude, the moment I heard when I was working on my Over the Garden Wall video, and I looked and I found that he was working on this, I was like, it's about to be the greatest movie ever.
And it maybe it was. Definitely one of the better stop motion films we've gotten in a while.
Yeah.
And that's saying something because we got a new Henry Selick movie this year. We got a bunch of actually like pretty good stuff recently.
Yeah, there's been quite a bit of stop motion that I've seen recently, which is great. I love stop motion. More of that.
Yeah, and like I said, this is one of the better ones.
I still think Mad God's better.
Okay, well,
but Mad God is like
that's kind of
a thing on its own. It took like 30 years to make, and it's like a passion. Mad God is a thing of its own. But
yeah, Pinocchio, Micah.
Do you have any questions to kick us off into the wonderful conversation of Ewan McGregor's Pinocchio?
Yeah, sure. Since you brought up Ewan McGregor, what do you think of him as like being the functioning framing device of the movie?
Love him.
You do?
I just love Ewan McGregor for one.
I think his character is like one of the funniest and coolest bits in this movie.
His character is great. I think it's a great use of like the cricket mentor type character.
He's perfect here.
And unlike Jiminy, where like Jiminy Cricket is like, oh, I'm actually a guiding force in your life. I love that Sebastian is just like, no, Pinocchio.
Don't do it.
Don't. And then he gets like comedically squished for the 14th time.
Right.
And he tries to sing his, I don't know. I think he's a really great, I think he's the best character in it to give the like narration exposition in the beginning and end and everything. And I think it's a good framing device to bring us in. But I also think he's just like, they rightfully didn't give him too much attention. And he's just like a really fun side bit character with a great performance from Ewan McGregor.
No, that's what I was gonna say. Like with how like tastefully sprinkled in Sebastian is as a character, I was pleasantly surprised. I'm like, are they gonna have like a bunch of Ewan McGregor or just like a couple scenes? But he's in there just enough that I'm like, yeah.
Well, see, if they would have written it differently, I would have been fine with him being in it.
No, he's great.
But again, like, the movie doesn't really need him to operate like like Disney's Pinocchio.
Exactly. No, he serves a completely different purpose in this movie, which I enjoyed. I really like the bit with him singing his song. It's so good.
I love Ewan McGregor, and like again, this movie. I think this like him plays to the fact that like even more so because Guillermo del Toro in his movies, he's done a little slapstick here and there. He's done quite a bit of comedy in some of his movies, even though that's not what he's known for. Especially in like Hellboy.
Yeah, something like Hellboy. Yeah,
even Pacific Rim has quite a bit of comedy and stuff like that. He's done quite a bit of comedy, but it really shows like how much how well the lightheartedness gets blended into this movie. and really what you like characters like Sebastian and everything like that give you such like a fun, like cheerful vibe in this movie, even though it does like dip a little bit darker than like I think even the Disney Pinocchio for how everyone's always like, oh, the Disney Pinocchio is scarring. I mean, I was never scarred.
It is a little
creepy,
but
freaky,
I was like a little freaky.
I don't know. Pleasure Island stuff I never really cared for.
That's the only part of the movie I remember, Micah. That's
the only part of the movie anyone remembered.
It's because that's like the only like part of that movie with any real meat on it. I was about to say,
it's the only part of the movie actually doing something thematically.
But yeah, Sebastian, love his song. I think that like using an author to frame the story is a very interesting choice too. I don't know. I like Sebastian's hubris as an author. It's very funny,
right? No, he's just like a really funny side character, who is a great natural way to get into some of the exposition that's needed for it.
Exactly. But do you have a question, Mike?
I do. I have a question deep inside the recesses of my mind. While I was watching the movie, I thought of a stupid question that I still want to ask.
Okay.
What is your favorite song? Because this is a musical.
It is.
Nobody ever talks about that. I remember people going into this and being completely surprised that it was a musical because it's just like not said anywhere that this is a musical.
You know, it's very interesting because I did want to bring up the fact that it is a musical because I know a couple people that I follow on Letterboxd were actually saying that's like the one thing that they didn't really love about it was the musical numbers. And
I can see that.
The first time around, they do feel a little jarring. They're a little clunky, yeah. But I don't know. I listened to the soundtrack in between viewings, and I'm like, there's actually a lot of really like fun and like smart stuff going on here. But like, I don't know if it fully works as a musical. I do love the music. I think it's fantastic.
Where I think it struggles is not in the music itself. I think the music's great.
Music is
the performance, all the singing is really good.
Yeah,
the music's really great. The arrangement's great. Lyricism is fun. It's a good music.
Yeah.
But I think where it loses a lot of people is that this entire movie is a little like, I guess almost like different territory than what a lot of people are used to. And it kind of, going into a musical kind of, I think honestly hurts some of the suspension of disbelief that people have for the movie.
You could be right.
This could be just like, people could completely disagree with this. But I think honestly, the thing that bothered me about the musical numbers the first time around was not that they were there, but that it kind of pulled me out for a second. And I was trying to figure out why it pulled me out for a second, because there are a lot of like musical numbers and stop motion movies. But like, I think in this particular setting, it's not something people are like prepared for, thinking about. Nobody was told that it was going to be a musical. It doesn't frame itself like a musical.
Yeah.
And then you're breaking into these like very exuberant, bubbly musical numbers.
Yeah, because we don't get one until after the like prologue, do we?
Yeah, and and the My Son song is the first song we get.
Yeah, and that's not really a number.
And I was about to say, and the editing is completely different during that. You do like the kind of montage editing, and I think that completely like for somebody not prepared for that kind of like knocks you back a little bit. It did for me anyway. I was like, oh. Like when it started doing like montage editing during this random song number.
Well, I think that makes sense. I think it is, now that you bring it up, I think it is a bit strange that like we go from music taking place in the like actual narrative versus when Pinocchio like comes alive and does his whole number. Like it's more meta narrative.
Yeah,
stuff.
Like I said, it's
very
interesting. It's just a little jarring to an audience, I think, the first time around. And I didn't have any problem with the songs on a rewatch.
Yeah.
Knowing that they're there and knowing what the movie is offering, I really enjoyed them. I think they're really good numbers.
Yeah.
But yeah, what's your favorite
number? There's a lot of good ones, actually. I think, didn't My Son get nominated for original song? Or maybe it was Ciao Papa. I don't remember.
I really like My Son. That's one of my favorites. Yeah. I pulled up. Yeah,
I'm pulling up the soundtrack. Better Tomorrows is really good.
I honestly really like Everything Is New to Me.
Everything Is New to Me is really fun. Yeah.
His little tra-la-la thing.
Yeah, the syncopated tra-la-las with the... I love the... like direction the melody goes in all of the stuff. Like not only the musical numbers, but the score too is really fun and mysterious and playful all at the same time. Like it's good.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think honestly,
it's tough, man.
My son or Everything Is New to Me are honestly my favorite numbers.
I would go with My Bubblegum or Everything Is New to Me, I think.
But I also really like Ewan McGregor's song. That's only in the credits.
Better Tomorrows. If we're counting Better Tomorrows, then that's up there too.
But no, because My Son is a really sweet song, and I really like what it does melodically, and I like the performance. But Everything Is New to Me is just so much fun.
It's a lot of fun.
And I really like, I think it's my favorite, like, Pinocchio vocal performance.
Oh, yeah. Gregory Mann is, like, I don't know, he's killing the game here, honestly.
Like I said, I looked at his other credits when we were looking at this movie, and he was in Cats.
Yikes.
So he was one of the mouse or cockroaches in Cats.
Scary.
Which is a scary thought.
Get him away.
But hey, if it got him into showbiz for this, I see that as a positive.
It's a necessary evil.
Necessary evil.
I will say though, We Were a King Once, not a fan.
No.
It feels like a deleted song.
And again, I have a reason for that. I was thinking about why I didn't like that song. He's singing it to people, but he's singing it to no one in the movie.
Yeah.
The movie, he is singing to absolutely no one, but the entire song is framed like he's like gathering the circus people around to him.
I mean, he's singing to Spazzatura.
No, he's not.
But like,
Spazzatura is not there. Like in the frame, he's never singing to him.
I guess, I don't know.
And no, he says specifically to several like different people, like he is like, it's like a call to arms song, and yet the action is never following that. He's singing to no one. The camera always like that is one of the song numbers that really bothers me.
Honestly, that's the only scene that I would like cut in this movie.
Yeah, I was about to say the staging is never like a musical, and I think that honestly hurts some of the musical numbers. In fact, one of the only ones that it is staged more like a musical is Everything Is New to Me.
Yeah.
They even have like little dancing bits, and the camera is very active.
Yeah.
But We Were Kings Once really bothers me, and it's one of the only things in the movie that does really bother me. And I noticed this time around that it really is the framing, the action shown on screen. Nothing matches up with what he's actually doing in the song.
Yeah, I like the song. Again, I think it's all right. It's even outside of the context of the movie, it is one of the weaker numbers on the soundtrack. But like, I don't know, it really does kind of stick out as kind of half baked compared to the rest of the film.
And I honestly think that's the big problem with it. It's just like it's practically stagnant.
Yeah.
As a musical number on screen. And he's doing all of these things.
I mean, I think the choreography and the way it's shot is fine and everything.
Well, no, I'm not saying. The choreography, he's just kind of moving around. Like, I don't know. That's what I'm saying. Like the frame, everything, like the background, the actual things, the people of the circus, everything is just like, I don't know.
I mean, yeah, I guess, but. Yeah, no, I mean that again. That's like easily the weakest scene in the movie.
And there's even like background singing that sounds like it should be from the circus members, but yet it's not.
Yeah, I wonder what the story is behind that song, because like I don't see a reason not to cut it, honestly. Because like we kind of get his motivation. I don't really see why he needs like a whole rallying song.
Right.
But
again, the only thing that would make sense would be that he's trying to rally the circus people to this. But they don't really matter. Like maybe there was something previous where like the actual members of the circus were used more or something, and they cut that but kept the song. I don't know. It's a weird moment in the entire.
It's very strange, yeah. Because Volpe is honestly like, I think, one of my least favorite elements of this movie, and like, you know, he is a well-written character, but he just kind of pops up in annoying ways, I think.
Yeah, he's odd because I like what it's going for, but again, and this is what I said.
I like it. I feel
this movie needed more time, which again, it's already 2 hours.
2 hours long.
They weren't going to give it more time, but the fact that like the way they go about telling the story, you need all of the different moments, but it's so sprawling. Like there's so many different things that happen in this movie, and all of them are important to what they're trying to go for.
Yeah.
That it feels often that things don't have enough time to really not get the story attention that they need, but like the breathe, like the breathing with it, the kind of like make this character not just constantly doing exactly what they have to be doing and moving on, which is usually like what you want to do for a screenplay, right? Like just do what they have to do. But especially for like Vlupe, he can be kind of grating because he's only there for just the moments there. There's no breathing time with any of the performance stuff.
No, it's strange. That's honestly, like, I gave this movie a 5. That was really the only element holding me back, was like his part in the movie. Like, because that's really the only part that I didn't like very much. Like, all of the war stuff and the Geppetto stuff, very good. Because, I mean, it's really about the three of them and Pinocchio. But it is quite good. I like it.
Yeah, I was about to say, it's the different influences between Geppetto, Vlupe, and what is his name? Did they ever say his name?
I don't think they ever say his name. The Podesta.
Podesta.
I don't know. I don't know Italian. Sorry, I don't speak Italian.
We just watched the movie.
I
mean,
know.
they said it like three times.
I know.
The Podesta. Ron Perlman. He's
quite good. Like, this is one of my favorite roles of his, honestly.
But yeah, it's like, again, it explores like their three different influences on him. And again, I really like the way they go about it. In fact, I really love how they explore the whole like obedience lesson
the
in
whole
Pinocchio,
do what you're told,
because again in the Disney Pinocchio, it's like do what you're told, and then he doesn't, and it's like, oh no, that was the reason that all of your problems
I was
happened.
about to say, it punishes him endlessly for not obeying everything.
Right, he's completely new to the world, and it punishes him so much for not obeying.
This is actually a surprisingly, like I said, a surprisingly layered and mature take on Pinocchio.
Yeah, I was about to say, I think this
stuff.
does a really good job of exploring what obedience means, and I think that's why it really plays to have the fascism elements.
Exactly, yeah.
Because again, fascism is all about nothing but obedience.
Yeah, exactly. Blind obedience.
So having
good.
That's like a brilliant stroke. And again, Pinocchio was always Italian. I don't know if that's in the book. Does the book have fascism in it?
I don't know, man. Maybe. That'd be really funny if that's like all the book is about, and then Disney just kind of left it out. That'd be really funny.
I gotta look this up now. I'll talk about something.
But yeah, no. When I first heard that it was like set during like fascist Italy, I was like, what? For Pinocchio, really? And then like, after seeing it for the first time, I'm like, okay, that's actually like a pretty brilliant stroke. Like, you shouldn't teach children to just obey blindly to everything. You should teach them to be loving and caring for people, you know? And it also illustrates in a pretty smart way how you shouldn't just aim to please people all the time.
Okay, yeah, so that is,
I don't know,
that is an element he added.
It's very good. It wasn't in the book.
It was Del Toro's idea, which makes sense.
Good
I
idea.
thought it was.
Yeah, no, it makes sense a lot with the rest of his
apparently
films.
he is quoted as saying, to describe the movie, he said it was described as a fable about disobedience as a virtue.
There you go, yeah. No, it's not only about obeying like people you love out of respect, it's also about disobeying people who are doing wrong.
Well, again, I was about to say, it's about the idea of not just obeying for obeying.
Exactly.
For there being a reason behind things, a reason to listen or not listen.
Exactly. It's quite good. I will say I liked Candlewick as a character a lot more than I thought I would.
And I was about to say, that's such a more nuanced take than, Papa, I have disobeyed and gone with the charlatans. They were very good at conning me since I am a day old.
Right.
Well, now you're going to die and waste away, and oh look, you have, like, literally he has nothing but bad influences in his life but Jiminy Cricket.
Right.
And Jiminy Cricket's like, oh, come on, Pinocchio. Oh, shucks.
Right. Man, the Disney one in retrospect kind of sucks.
I don't know. I've never liked. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I never liked the Disney Pinocchio, and I think and I think this is just a really brilliant way to take the story. And I also, which segues me right into the next topic I wanted to talk about.
That's crazy.
And I also really like the inclusion of death as a theme in this.
Yeah.
Because that's not really, like, it's touched on obviously, in the original Pinocchio movie.
Vaguely.
But, like, death is a big theme in this movie.
Yeah. I mean, Pinocchio dies like 4 times or something.
Right. And, you know, in the end, like, everyone dies.
Yeah.
And the whole thing that makes him a real boy, I was about to say, instead of it being a quest for him to become some weird fleshy human,
Right.
Like,
That's so strange.
The answer to being a real boy is the ability to die, like actually die.
Exactly.
Is what they present as being a real boy. What do you think? What do you think of its take? What do you think of Tilda Swinton Angels and yeah, everything to do with like the death side of everything?
You know, Tim Blake Nelson is kind of a legend.
Give me a frickin' ace. I love that line.
But yeah, no, death. It always makes me happy when I see death handled in like a nuanced way in children's media, because it's something that's not really touched on a lot in art and media for kids.
And again, if so, often Disney portrays death as just this kind of like scarring, dramatic thing to happen briefly in the beginning of the movie and to like be moved upon. Like you gotta move on from that death is how Disney movies often frame it.
Yeah.
Which you gotta move on, like in a way, but like
yeah. No, I don't know. It's very interesting because death it does play a major role in this movie, and I appreciate like the final message of like, you know, like the beauty of human life and everything. It's nice. But what was your question specifically? Like how?
Well, just what do you think of the different elements relating to death? The inclusion of like essentially the Tilda Swinton god. And everything. Like, what do you think of those elements? What do you think they add? What do you?
I don't know if I really have that much to say about them. I do appreciate that they're there, but I'm not really. I don't really have much to say about it, honestly. I'm glad that they took it in the direction they did, but I'm not sure why I like it.
Well, I think again, their theming on death plays quite a bit into their theming on disobedience and what it means to be a human, because it also frames as fascism as being an inhuman thing.
That's true.
Having the ability to be disobedient is part of being human, along with having the ability to die.
That's good.
So Pinocchio is a puppet. He cannot make his own decisions, and he cannot die.
Yeah.
That's how he starts.
Interesting.
And he both, throughout the different lessons, gains the ability to disobey through coming to life, and the ability to die through the 2 different Tilda Swinton angels.
Yeah.
And I really like the way that he essentially gets to meditate on what it means to die each different time that he dies. And he usually learns something different each time he dies.
That's true. Yeah.
And kind of realizes that maybe eternal life is not great.
Yeah. That's
but also the reasons why people might want eternal life, and like the very different dealing with how what it means to be alive. Which I think is great lessons to explore, especially in the way that they do so in a kid's story, essentially.
Yeah.
Especially towards the end, where it comes upon the conclusion that it is like people die. It is okay to die.
Yeah.
And it can be tragic, but part of the beautiful stroke of life. Part of what it means to be alive. Because again, we start with Geppetto not being able to get over the fact that his son died. That's the whole thing.
Yeah, that was about to say, the whole catalyst of the movie is his son dying, so it makes sense.
So then, you know, Pinocchio has to learn to be able to live with the fact that people die.
Interesting. Yeah. No, I'll ditto that, I guess.
I don't know. Again, that's not it's not a very nuanced take of anything. I just think I really appreciate the way it takes all of those elements and weaves them around the lessons on disobedience.
That's a good reading of it. I just hadn't pieced that together in my brain for some reason.
Because again, I love the way Del Toro writes stories, honestly, and you know, you can obviously Mikhail was on the screenplay too, and I think his comes on a lot of the childlike wonder that comes along with this movie. I think he was his touches are definitely all over this movie as much as Del Toro's.
Yeah.
But I love the way Del Toro structures his stories oftentimes, and kind of almost, because, you know, you could say that storybooks have a huge influence on Del Toro's writing fairy tales.
You could say.
You could say that.
Yeah.
And the way he writes is almost... like, he writes in, like, essentially, he writes in, it never feels like exactly like the 3-act structure, even though there are clearly, like, they feel like chapters.
Yeah.
He writes in very clearly defined different chapters. Again, take something like Nightmare Alley, has very clearly defined different chapters, even if they're not exactly in a 3-act structure or anything.
Yeah. I would say Pan's Labyrinth is a pretty good example.
Pan's Labyrinth, it does the same kind of thing.
Even Crimson Peak, now that I think about it.
No, that's just like, again, that's like, save for some of his specific movies, again, like Hellboy and why did I just lose the name? Pacific Rim are kind of like outliers in a lot of his writing style.
True. That's
they're
true.
his more like action-y movies. I'm sure Mimic and Blade 2 and stuff are kind of fall into that thing.
Yeah, I can't imagine a super storybook structure for Blade 2.
But I think that really lends itself to this kind of story. I just, again, wish it had more time.
Yeah.
Because I think the way it can play around with its different chapters, like chapters on disobedience and on fascism and on death and on all of these different things, and they all blend together.
Michael wants the Pinocchio limited series.
No, I just need the 3.5-hour Pinocchio.
Ooh, yeah. My goodness, man. Stop motion.
But yeah, do you have another question?
Yeah, I wanted to ask another technical question. Micah, what do you think of like the art direction and general look? I know you mentioned earlier that some people were complaining that it's not grimy enough, and I really love the way this movie looks.
I really love the way it looks. I really like a lot of the design work. I love Pinocchio's design.
The Pinocchio design, dude.
That puppet is so cool. I want to get one of the little figures.
Yeah.
I love the angel god design.
Yeah.
I think those are really cool. Very Del Toro-y. Very biblical angel-y, which I think is funny.
I like it.
Which we'll get to that a little bit later. I want to ask some questions. But I think where people were getting that from is, and I partially agree with this, in Del Toro movies, often the production design is a huge standout.
It is.
And it often brings most of the atmosphere to the film.
Something like Crimson Peak, it's like all of the atmosphere.
Yeah. And like it's very engrossing typically. And honestly, this movie, and I think mainly because it is stop motion, doesn't have quite the same ability. In my opinion, I don't ever get as engrossed in its different elements. It doesn't feel as lived in as a lot of his movies.
Interesting.
I still think it looks fantastic, but somehow, despite, again, stop motion usually being an outlier among animated things for having that element of real feeling to it, this honestly feels just more fake than Del Toro usually comes off as.
Interesting.
Which is the only way I could see that taken, as saying like that it doesn't quite feel as like raw. Because you know, he talked about it making it feel like a movie made by human hands. And I don't think that always fully comes through in a lot of its looks, because stop motion is such, I don't know, it's such a unique art form in the way it presents itself.
I think a lot of the personality and like character of the movie comes through a lot in its art direction and character design.
Yeah.
Which I think are really great. But you're right, the like general production design and the look of it, I think the lighting's really good too.
No,
actually.
the lighting's fantastic. I think the cinematography is fantastic too.
But you're right, the environments are a bit generic at times.
Yeah, it just doesn't feel as...
It's not what it could be.
Yeah, it doesn't feel as, like, you know, Del Toro-y. Like, every location in a Del Toro movie feels like like you're practically in it, typically. And this one I didn't get that from.
Yeah.
Which makes me a little sad, because, I mean, obviously I still love the designs, and I love the work and everything. But stop motion animation really is a difficult medium to work in, to cultivate the kind of Del Toro thing that he normally has.
And, you know, for what it's worth, I think you did a pretty good job.
No, yeah. I think this is fantastic. I honestly wish, like watching this makes me wish there was just like a movie about like the different, like using like Del Toro's different like interests and mythologies and stuff to just have a bunch of amazing looking, cool, creepy little creatures.
Right.
I need more of that.
You need some kind of cabinet of curiosities.
I've always I've always loved Del Toro's monster designs so much. Like take even I think she's a Fate. I think the Fate from Golden Army, Hellboy 2.
Yeah.
Has a similar design. She might just be a straight up angel, but I think she's a Fate specifically.
Yeah, something like that.
But I love his monster designs in that vein. Even like Pan and Pan's Labyrinth and everything.
So good. Pan also like blends with the environment of the movie really, really well, like, and very seamlessly too.
Yeah.
Which you don't get that as
idea.
much. Yeah, you don't get that as much in something like this. You know, even Kronos has like some really iconic imagery in it.
Yeah.
Got the backwards suit, Micah. Man, Kronos.
I love
Guillermo del Toro is just a really talented guy.
He is. Can't wait to watch the Devil's Backbone.
But it's interesting, like the kind of simplistic design. I don't want to say simplistic because it has character. Like the architecture and stuff is actually really good, especially in the like afterlife underworld.
No, yeah. I love the different designs,
Yeah.
and even the different locations around Italy and everything. They all have different character and different feeling.
They just don't have as much texture as I expected them to.
Yeah, I was about to say, but overall, I feel like, again, and that's the reason I didn't give this a 5, because I really, really enjoy what's here.
Yeah.
But again, I feel like in almost everything, there's just a little element that doesn't quite bring it together to fully being like the punchiness that I like from Del Toro.
Yeah, that's fair. And like I said, I don't know. I have stopped handing out half stars, so I try and be a little more decisive about my opinions on movies. And I think this would be a good example of a 4.5 because it's so very close to being a 5. But I mean, I'm gonna give it a 5. I think
it's a brilliant piece of writing.
Yeah.
I think its animation is really pretty. I think it has great cinematography. I think it has great performances.
Honestly, the score is one of my favorite.
The score
parts
is
about
fantastic.
this. Yeah.
The music is really good. But again, some of the musical elements don't work always.
There's just a couple little things that kind of pick at my brain while I watch it. I'm like,
yeah, a couple of things that
so
pull me out
close.
here and there. So what do you think of, because I never quite know what to make, and this is me pulling a U and not fully knowing how to dissect something.
Yeah.
And it may just because just the specific something in Del Toro's bodies of work. And it may just be because he's Del Toro and he likes doing it. And I mean, obviously it plays into his ideas of obedience and stuff, which is why I made the joke about the fact that this was Del Toro's Silence.
Silence.
But what do you think of the biblical imagery, which is a staple of Del Toro movies? We've got the big crucifix. We've got the ear.
There's a lot.
The fish. Even you could technically draw from. There's a heck of a lot going on in here.
I didn't even think about the Jonah thing. My goodness. I don't know. It definitely,
the cross imagery with Pinocchio.
It definitely makes me feel something.
Pinocchio dies for Geppetto.
I was about to say, we got Pinocchio sacrificing himself after literally comparing himself to Christ.
And he's sacrificing himself to where humans don't have to be lonely and alone.
I don't know. Like, is it weird to like? I feel like it's a little reductive to just view. Pinocchio as a Christ figure.
I think it's what it's dragging on here, and I wanted to mention this. I think it's a really neat lesson, and I think it's cool for a religious like standpoint that it's also criticizing right hand in hand with fascism, but religious like obedience.
Yeah,
strict religious obedience is placed hand in hand with fascism, and it was.
Yeah, exactly.
And still is today. Religion can be easily paired, like as easily as anything in the world, paired with any kind of oppressive government.
Yeah.
Because any kind of religion
it can
be
so easily
manipulated and get turned into a way
force.
to just, again, blindly obey to something.
Yeah.
And I think this movie has a really unique message behind it of God doesn't inherently, and religion does not inherently require us to just be blind, obedient puppets.
Yeah, well, I more so like religion isn't just about obedience. Like that's not the point of religion.
Exactly, that is not the end all of it. It cannot be just obedience. And again, Del Toro described it as the fable of the virtue of disobedience.
Yeah, man. It's I mean, like, honestly, the message of like rebelling against organized religion as well as fascism is a very valuable one, especially to a child.
Yeah, no, I think it's a really good lesson to paint, and I'm glad they didn't again shy away from the fact that religion was hand in hand with Mussolini's fascism.
That's wild.
And I mean, it's been hand in hand with
so many oppressive
governments and forces and horrible things. So it's a good question to pose, especially to teach to children, of like, why are you being blindly obedient to this?
Yeah.
What, again, that's why I made the silence comparison, because the question that silence asks is, what does God ask from us in terms of, the 90% of the movie is all about, is it blasphemy to be forced to step on a picture of Jesus?
Yeah.
Like, what does God ask from us in this life when it comes to obedience?
No, I see what you're saying a little more now. I was a little mystified. You're like, it's just like silence for real. I'm like, is it though? It's funny.
But no, I just thought that was a very interesting... Yeah. Again, this is such a layered, nuanced movie, which is really cool.
Yeah, I will say, like, for all of its problems, which aren't very many, honestly, I can really appreciate just how, like, layered and... there's a lot of care put into the themes and setting of this movie. It's a very well written movie.
Yeah, and again, Patrick McHale is also the kind of writer to put in biblical imagery into his stuff.
Oh my gosh, talk about biblical imagery. Over the Garden Wall is packed with biblical references,
allegory, and funny stuff. Two creators I absolutely love working on writing something.
Kind of the dream team, honestly.
Right?
If you were gonna do, if someone said to me and was like, "We're gonna do another Pinocchio movie," I'm like, "Really? Why?" And they're like, "You get to pick who makes it." I think I would pick Patrick McHale and Guillermo del Toro, because like, honestly, they deal with the settings and themes and structure of this kind of story better than almost anyone I know.
Yeah. And again, I think it's interesting because Guillermo del Toro, when talking about making this movie, he even said, he was like, I find it so hard to make movies for like adults, like to write movies for adults anymore.
Yeah.
Because like they're never satisfied with answers for anything. Whereas movies for kids and families, you can give because again, this is a very Del Toro way to write a story. I mean, even Pan's Labyrinth, even his most like almost all of his movies are very story-like, though. That's what I'm saying. They have clear morals. They're practically fables almost every time.
Almost every single one of his movies has a very clear central message,
and that's hard to write for adults oftentimes. And somehow he pulled it off for a bunch of movies.
Yeah.
But I'm also really glad he tackled a movie that you can watch with your kids.
I don't know what the age I would show this to is, because you got. It's a very mature movie. I don't know.
I mean, I don't know. Again, I don't think it's any more mature than most of the Disney movies that people grew up on.
It's very true. I think I mentioned in my initial review, I really wish I would have grown up with this movie instead of the Disney one. Not that I even watched the Disney one all that much.
No, we watched it like twice as a child.
But I always remembered how boring it was.
Dude,
but
I know
this would have left a real mark on me.
I know some people who put Pinocchio in, like, I saw several like different people put Pinocchio in the Sight and Sound thing.
put Bambi in there. Don't put Pinocchio in there. What are you
which
doing?
blew my mind because to memory, Pinocchio, like, it's beautiful. It's some of the most gorgeous animation Disney ever put.
It's got great lighting in it, man.
Like, and literally they did a bunch of different techniques and stuff that from an animation standpoint, sure.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I just never thought it was that great of a movie.
Like I said, if you're going for like just beautiful Disney movies, go Bambi.
I don't know. I think Pinocchio, like, again, Pinocchio is well known. I mean, even for like its water sequences and everything.
Yeah, that's
being
true.
very painting inspired, and it's got some beautiful stuff in it. But
talk about water sequences, Micah. I can't believe how much water is in this movie.
Oh my gosh, there's so much liquid in this movie. There's so much. It's like constantly, which a Del Toro staple is for it to constantly be raining. But it's like constantly raining, or they're in the ocean, or they're in a stomach.
Something's always wet or sliding around. Like, what's going on?
Which is insane. I want to know how they made this. I want to watch that documentary.
You know, there are a lot of again, I haven't seen the documentary, but a lot of modern stop motion that I've seen, Kubo even too, it has quite a few water sequences, and what a lot of studios have been doing is sequencing out in 3D all of the water, and then 3D printing it and doing it frame by, like, just switching out the models frame by frame, which is a great way to do it. I think it looks pretty good, especially in Kubo, and it looks good here too.
But man, it's wild. It's so good.
I can't imagine trying to. I can't imagine doing a stop motion animated movie to begin with. But putting that much liquid in it is insane to me.
No, but I think it. I don't know. This movie is great. Do you have any other questions?
Fantastic.
Because I feel like we've covered a lot of the topics of it. Yeah. No. Well.
I mean that's really the main things I had opinions about. Like, really, honestly, just to like summarize, I think the score and the brilliance of the writing in this are honestly its two strongest things. Maybe the art direction in there too, because it is really good. But yeah, no, it's a really well-made movie. It's a really layered and emotional and good movie, I think.
I was about to say, I think the way it balances its tones and its themes and its childlike wonder with its more mature themes and its goofiness with its dark and its fascism with its religion and its disobedience with obedience. It all really, really well blends together into this really super cool movie that I just wish was a little longer, and wish like the slightest of changes here and there would make it like just absolutely perfect for me. But it's a brilliant movie.
It's so good,
and I'm really glad that we got it. I know. I hope people watch this.
If you still have Netflix, go watch.
I know.
Pinocchio.
Well, I think it's still playing in some theaters.
It is. I think a few.
But yeah, I know Netflix is going hard on the Oscar campaign for this.
Good.
But I hope it wins some stuff. That'd be cool.
I haven't been keeping track of what other animated films have come out this year, but it's definitely one of the strongest ones. I mean, I gave it a 5. Yeah, like something like My Father's Dragon was good too, but it's not quite there. Same with Wendell and Wild.
Yeah, actually, it's interesting because this has been a year for a lot of like creators that I really like putting out like a little weaker films, like in terms of animated films, a little weaker films than I normally like would be like, because My Father's Dragon wasn't quite what I was hoping. Yeah. Because, I mean, it's still good, but it's no, like, Cartoon Saloon typical feature. Like, Cartoon Saloon's blown me out of the water with, every feature I've seen from
Wolfwalker set a pretty high standard, I think.
And, like, what was the other one you mentioned?
Oh, I mentioned Wendell and Wild.
Yeah, and Wendell and Wild was not really quite as good as Nightmare Before Christmas.
Yeah. No, not really. But it is, again, they're very good. Like, they always, most of the creative projects from creators I really like have, like, had a really nice meat to them, but not always, like, have been as refined as I want them to be.
Time to watch Strange World with Jake Gyllenhaal.
I will say I'm very upset because Apollo 10.5 is the only other 5 that I've given out to an animated feature this year, I think.
I thought that was a last year film.
No, it's 2022. And I am very upset that it is not getting a nomination. Like, they've disqualified it for animated feature.
Which is so weird.
Because it's rotoscoped.
But, like,
I hate
animation has always used rotoscope.
Right?
Like, for for a long, long, long time.
It's crazy to me.
Like Marcel the Shell is counting as an animated film.
It's another Netflix film, Apollo 10.5.
But again, Marcel the Shell is in the animated film category, and yes, but it's a stop motion live action combination. You telling me Rotoscope doesn't get in, but Marcel does?
That's what I'm saying. I'm very upset about it.
I mean, I don't like Apollo 10.5 nearly as much as you, but still.
So good.
All right, the last thing I want to talk about, the last thing I want to do is I wanted to share the Del Toro rankings.
Ooh, the rankings.
To see where this lies.
All right. I don't have a list put together, but I can rank them.
Together. So, and again, starting out, I like all of these. I think they're all good in some element. But at the very bottom, I've only seen 8 films, but the 8th would be Hellboy 2: The Golden Army, which I gave 3 stars. It's still really fun. I still like it. I know some people, like a lot of people, seem to like it like more than the first Hellboy, which is crazy to me.
No,
I've heard a lot of people say.
What?
I even saw somebody say that this was the best Del Toro movie, which blew my mind.
It is great. I think it's a great movie, but it's not his best.
It's a little too popcorny and a little too like, I don't know. It's just
I like the popcorn feel to it, but it doesn't have the same sort of thematic meat that the first Hellboy does.
I like the production design and everything, though Abe is way worse in the first one. I don't know what they did to him. Anyway, I could talk about that movie at a podcast, but yeah, I really like it still. It's just not my favorite.
It's still better than any given MCU thing that we've gotten.
On number 7, Pacific Rim. I really enjoyed it. It's one of the best Rim. Like mech monster movie, like kaiju size monster movies that I've seen.
Yeah.
And you know, I think the performances are fun. Ron Perlman is amazing in it, but it's still, again, not really my cup of tea from Del Toro. I give it a 3.5.
It's definitely a highlight of like mecha or kaiju movies,
right?
Like, it's so good.
Then number 6, Hellboy.
Boo! Why would you put it this low?
Which I gave a 4. And again, I really like this, but I don't think it's as like, it's not as snappy as I wish it was. I don't ever get into it as much as I wish I would. But the performances are great. The practical effects are great.
I love the mythos of Hellboy so much. It's so much fun.
Number 5, Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
Yeah.
Which we just talked about.
Yeah, we just talked about.
Number 4, Kronos. I really love Kronos. I think it's a really cool take on vampires.
It is. It's a very novel movie, I think, in a lot of ways. But it works pretty well.
It's a lot more simple than a lot of his movies, but I think it's really fun and it's cool to learn about. Number 3, Crimson Peak. A bit of a hot take, but Crimson Peak is so freaking cool. You guys are just lame. I really love the story, love the performances, love it's like as an homage to Gothic literature, which I'm a big fan of. And I gave Kronos a 4.5, and I gave Crimson Peak a 4.5.
Whoa.
And then Nightmare Alley, which we talked about on the podcast at number 2, I gave it a 5.
Who doesn't love Nightmare Alley?
Nightmare Alley is fantastic. Yeah. And then, obviously, my favorite, if you know me, it's in my top 4 favorite films of all time, Pan's Labyrinth. One of the best films ever made, probably.
Probably. I mean, yeah, it's really good. I mean, my ranking's a little dumb, I think, because I've given 4 of his films 5s and the other 4 4s. But if I had to rank them, we'll say Golden Army at the bottom, which seems wrong because I like Golden Army, but like at the same time, yeah, like it's a lot weaker than a lot of the other stuff. After that, I'd probably put Kronos. And then Pacific Rim, and then Crimson Peak, which as I said, all of those I've given 4 stars. I don't know. I wish I liked Kronos a bit more than I do. I think I would enjoy it a bit more on a rewatch, probably. And then of the 5 stars that I've handed out, it would probably be... That's really tough. Nightmare Alley and Pinocchio are like on the same level to me, I think, just about.
And Pan's Labyrinth is the greatest film of all time.
So I think it would probably be, we'll say Pinocchio lower, and then Nightmare Alley, then Hellboy, and then Pan's Labyrinth. Which, you know, if that's a director's lineup like that, that is darn good stuff. He's such a great director.
I love him. But yeah,
seems like a cool guy.
That is Pinocchio.
That is Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio.
That's where it lies. Very good movie. Go watch it.
Yeah, go watch it, dude. That's great.
But yeah, let's talk a little briefly about what we watched over the week and move into our next segment.
Let's do it.
All right, so for those of you who have never made it this far, are new to the podcast, or I think those are the only two options.
Those are the only options.
What we watch segment is a little thing we do at the end, where we talk about all the other films that we've watched since our last episode.
Yes, indeed.
Give brief thoughts, brief ratings, and just in general be brief.
The whole point is to be brief. You guys don't have to actually gain anything from this. We're just trying to get through it as fast as we can.
Yeah, we want to talk about films and have fun. We're going from the 5th, which on the 5th, I watched Dog Day Afternoon.
Dog Day Afternoon.
Sidney Lumet.
Great director.
Director of 12 Angry Men, and with an Al Pacino film.
Gotta love Al Pacino.
I had no idea what it was about going into it. It kind of blew my mind, especially for how early on it was made. I really loved it. I loved the direction. The performances are great. It's a really fun film to be in.
Nice. I'm very much looking forward to seeing it.
A little nerve-wracking. But yeah, I think it's a really neat film, and I don't know, I really loved it. I think it's practically perfect in every way.
Dog Day Afternoon, baby.
I gave it a 5 out of 5.
I would hope so, if you think it's practically perfect.
On the 5th, I also watched A Christmas Mystery.
I caught like a scene or two from this,
which was unmemorable, and I don't really want to think about it.
It had that one actress from that one Disney show in it, and she was actually quite good.
Yeah. The sister from that one show.
Yes.
I don't remember which show.
Isn't she in Liv and Maddie?
Is it? Yeah. She's the sister in Liv and Maddie, and it also had the guy who plays what's his face in Gotham, which I thought was funny.
You're not gonna say their name.
Their names are Drew Powell and Lauren Lindsay.
Yes.
But I gave it a 2.5. Then what did we watch, Remy?
Then we sat down and we watched Goodfellas.
Martin Scorsese.
This is my first time seeing it.
This was my second time seeing it.
It's a very, very long movie. Very good movie.
It's a fantastic movie.
It's great. I don't know what is there to say about
honestly,
it.
I think it worked for me. Like, I gave it a 5 both times, but I think it worked for me a little bit better on a rewatch thematically and like getting like emotional from it and everything.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people, like Robbie said, his experience was similar to mine, where he finished it and you're like, it's a good movie. It's a fantastic movie, but it's like, it's a Goodfellas. But I think I actually got a lot more into it on a rewatch.
It's a very strange movie to be based on a true story, with how like effortlessly cinematic it is. I don't know. It's very strange. Very good too. Not my favorite Scorsese, but definitely one of the better ones.
But yeah,
loved it. I gave it a 5.
Then also on the 6th, I watched Christmas with You. Which was Freddie Prinze Jr.'s return to the silver screen.
Love that guy.
And unfortunately, by silver screen, I mean Netflix. The movie was not particularly that great, but it was really sweet seeing him acting again. I've always really been a big Freddie Prinze Jr. fan. And the movie is very sweet towards him. Like his character is written like in a very sweet way for this being like his first time acting in like a decade.
Yeah, no, I saw all but like the first 5 minutes of this. I wasn't really paying that close of attention, but it was a really sweet return for him.
What's really funny about this movie is it's the most laughable portrayal of the music industry ever.
Right.
Especially when she's won, like when she literally has like 5 platinum albums sitting in her office, along with a bunch of gold albums, and the label is treating her like she had like she's a one-hit wonder and has only put out 1 album or something.
It's wild. Absolutely
it's
wild.
Really funny. I gave it a 3 out of 5.
Yeah, no, it's a sweet film.
Then we watched Pinocchio for the first time.
Well, I watched a lovely little ditty in between that.
Oh man.
Giving a quick shout out to, on the 7th, I watched Aqua Teen Forever Plantasm, which for those who do not know, I watched through the entire Aqua Teen Hunger Force series. And it was pretty fun. I consider myself like a mild fan of it. So I wanted to watch the new movie. I bought the Blu-ray and I watched it. And it was fun. It was fine. It was honestly much better than I expected it to be. I was kind of expecting it to just be like kind of a throwaway, like just reboot of the show for no reason. But it was actually a really fun way to add on to the like canon and legacy of the show. It was cool. It was kind of dumb though. Like I don't know. People don't care what I have to say about Aqua Teen Forever Plantasm. I gave it a 3 out of 5.
But then we watched
Guillermo del Toro,
which we just talked about.
Much better than Plantasm, I will say.
Oh yeah, I didn't log that.
Yeah, we watched
short.
Yeah, we'll give a shout out to
motion.
it. Yeah, we watched Mickey Saves Christmas.
It's done by the same studio as Pinocchio.
It's done by Stupid Buddy Studios.
Which, if you don't know, it's the studio that does Robot Chicken.
Yeah,
and they did Pinocchio.
They did a bunch of Robot Chicken
and they
stuff.
did this. So I think that's funny.
Wait, which are you sure it's the same one?
I was pretty sure.
It's not in their credits. I mean,
or at least I thought one of the studios that worked on Pinocchio.
It is one of the Robot Chicken studios that worked on Pinocchio, but it's not
Stupid
Buddy Studios. Stupid Buddy Studios only worked on a certain era of Robot Chicken.
Okay, well, I still appreciate the fact that there's a Robot Chicken crossover, and it's between Pinocchio and
Mickey Saves
Robot
Christmas.
Chicken and Mickey Saves Christmas.
Which, it was cute. It was pretty boring, though.
Yeah, it was kind of boring, but I appreciated the animation.
Yeah, it was novel, I should say.
Then on the 10th, I watched Veronica Voss.
Nice.
Which I had recently picked up the BRD trilogy, Criterion.
Very nice.
Used for a very good
I would hope so.
But it was like $40 for the trilogy, which was cool.
Great stuff.
And I had never seen any of Rainer Warner Fassbinder's movies. Yeah. But I was very interested to check it out. I had heard good things about the movies that were in like this trilogy. Mm-hmm. So I watched the one that looked most interesting to me, Veronica Voss, and it was fantastic. It was one of the most gorgeous looking movies I've ever seen. The story was really engaging. It was really like, it's not too terribly long, but like surprisingly for how the story goes about telling itself in a very atmospheric kind of way.
Interesting.
It was very gripping to watch.
Good. That's a good thing.
And yeah, I really like the performances were great. I really loved it. I love the way it looks. They layer on the film grain for this thing, man. It's got so much grain and it looks beautiful. Like literally, very I would call this one of the most beautiful and well shot movies I've ever seen.
Yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to it, dude. See, you showed me a scene from it afterwards. I'm like, ooh.
But I gave it a 4.5 out of 5.
Very nice, very nice.
Then what did we watch?
Later on the 10th, we watched the Guardians of the Galaxy Holiday Special.
Which was fun. It was fun.
It's sweet.
There's not much to say about it.
I like...
It doesn't look very good.
It doesn't. The cinematography and lighting and everything are not great, but the character writing and just comedy and everything, I don't know, it has a real nice sense of character. I was about
to say, honestly, I really appreciate it for one thing and one thing alone, if anything, is that it gives Mantis and Drax some time to not just have like one-liner bits.
Yeah.
They actually are like focused on, and they're still goofy and comedic relief.
Yeah.
But they actually feel like they have somewhat of characters in this.
Exactly. No, I really like how Mantis is written in this, and Drax too. Like they're such a fun pair to do like their own little side plot with, and I think it's pretty great for what it is, but it never really clicks. Like it doesn't feel like the way I think it should.
It doesn't feel real.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It feels very fake.
And I think that's partially just due to a lower budget. And some weird. It's weirdly.
It looks
kind
bad.
of strangely paced.
Yeah,
I don't know. There were a couple things holding it back for me, so I think it's good but not great. I gave it a 3 out of 5.
I gave it a 3 out of 5.
Hey, nice.
Then on the 11th, what did we watch, Remy?
We watched Josh and Benny Safdie's Good Time.
Heck yeah.
Very good movie.
This was a rewatch for me. I'd really been itching to rewatch it and wanting to show it to Robbie.
It's so good.
I knew he would like it.
Mike is like, I knew.
the After Hours poster reference.
Heck yeah, dude. I don't know, man. I love movies like this that are like very quiet. And like, I don't know, it's not like a quiet movie, but it is a quiet movie. if you get what I'm saying.
I really loved this movie the first time, and I loved it even more in the second time around. I really enjoyed learning more about the production and everything and how they went about it. R.I.P. Robert Pattinson's hair.
Oh my gosh.
I guarantee it's never recovered.
Wow.
But no, I think it's a fantastic film. I think it's really engrossing. I love the way the Safdie brothers direct and shoot. I think Benny Safdie is giving a fantastic performance in this.
He's really good here.
This is my favorite Robert Pattinson performance too.
Yeah.
It's really interesting the way the story goes about. I still understand the idea, like the complaint, and it was my biggest complaint with it for the first time, but it wasn't as big of a complaint for me the second time around.
Yeah.
Of it not really feeling like it earns its emotional core as much as it should, which I still agree that like it could have had more. I wish it had more with Benny.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for what it's doing and what it's going for, again, that's part of the point is that he's taking the attention away from him, story-wise. But still,
it's
I really
a great
loved
movie, dude. I was kind of like pleasantly surprised at how smart and layered it is about like its themes and everything. It's very good.
Dude, that last scene so far has never not made me like absolutely just like bawl.
Dude, I was crying. I was shedding a tear too.
I give it a 5 out of 5.
Which I did not expect from Good Time. Like, I don't know. I had never seen a Safdie brothers movie before, and it was quite good. I also give it a 5 out of 5.
Then on the 11th, we also watched The Muppets Christmas Carol.
Heck yeah, we did.
It had been a while since we watched it, but we got to wrap it up, so I'm going to talk about this very briefly. It's very good. I like the song.
It's so good.
I do agree that Michael Caine never really sells it for me for Scrooge that much. I do not think he's that intimidating in the beginning of the film. He's not as harsh as he needs to be.
I don't know. I don't feel like he really needed to be anymore.
I do.
Harsh.
He does not feel like Scrooge in the beginning of this. I like his performances like later on.
Yeah.
He never sells it to me as Scrooge in the beginning.
I mean, it works for me. I don't know.
But I love the Muppets. I love the songs. I love the way. I think this is one of the best instances of blending the human Muppet world stuff in one of the storytelling things.
Yeah,
I love it.
It's great.
It's
so much fun.
I give it a 4 out of 5. I wish they would do more of these.
Yeah, right. We need more like movies with the Muppets in them. You know.
But yeah,
it's good stuff.
Then we watched Pinocchio again. But again, we gotta leave the studio.
We're already a day late on the podcast.
So thank you guys for listening. Sorry it's late. I've been super busy. We're still busy. We love you all. Merry Christmas. Watch some good movies. Go watch Good Time. It has a Santa in it, so it's a Christmas movie.
It technically is.
Goodfellas also has Christmas. So yeah, go watch Good Time.
And go watch Pinocchio.
They're Christmas movies. Go watch Pinocchio.
Yes.
And have a good life.
Indeed. We'll see you next time.